Good Wednesday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for May the 29th. Today we are reading together the 65th Psalm. Psalm 65 has been given the title in my Bible, God's Care for the Earth. I believe this psalm would be easily categorized as a psalm of praise. The superscription tells us it is for the choir director, a psalm of David, a song. So not all of the psalms, it seems, are designated very forthright as being a song, but this is very much a song, which I believe would fit a psalm of praise. As the title says, this is going to discuss a lot of the ways that God cares for his creation, but the first few verses do talk about his care for people as well. So let's notice what we have here in this beautiful psalm, speaking of a great God doing great things for his creation. Reading together in Psalm 65, beginning in verse number 1. We are read together, praise is rightfully yours, God, in Zion. Vows to you will be fulfilled. All humanity will come to you, the one who hears prayer. Iniquities overwhelm me. Only you can atone for our rebellion. How happy is the one you choose and bring near to live in your courts. We will be satisfied with the goodness of your house, the holiness of your temple. You answer us in righteousness with awe-inspiring works. God of our salvation, the hope of all the ends of the earth and of the distant seas. You establish the mountains by your power. You are robed with strength. You silence the roar of the seas, the roar of their waves, and the tumult of the nations. Those who live far away are awed by your signs. You make east and west shout for joy. You visit the earth and water it abundantly, enriching it greatly. God's stream is filled with water, for you prepare the earth in this way, providing people with grain. You soften it with showers and bless its growth, soaking its furrows and leveling its ridges. You crown the year with your goodness. Your carts overflow with plenty. The wilderness pastures overflow, and the hills are robed with joy. The pastures are clothed with flocks, and the valleys covered with grain. They shout in triumph. Indeed, they sing. And that is Psalm number 65. Again, a psalm of praise. The majority of this psalm, about 2/3 of it, focus though on God's blessings seen in creation and then also in what he does for creation. But it begins with the word praise. And in fact, I would say that we have here further evidence for the praise categorization of this psalm, being the fact that this psalm has an inclusio of praise. It begins with praise is rightfully yours, God, and it ends with they shout in triumph, indeed they sing. So that gives us a good idea, as is the case whenever we recognize inclusios, that everything in between is probably going to have something to do with the bookends of the inclusio itself. So we would come to the conclusion then that we have many reasons within this psalm for praise to God. Not only is praise rightfully God's, but also vows to him should be fulfilled. This is an exaltation of God for who he is. And we recognize that because of his goodness, because of the satisfaction that he brings, all humanity will come to you. We see that here in verse number 2, that there's all humanity under consideration. We also see in verse number 5 God is the hope of all the ends of the earth. Verse number 9 talks about you visit the earth. I think that's very much, generally speaking, not just one portion, but visiting it as a whole. So God benefits everything. There's nothing that is not benefited from Yahweh's graciousness. So all humanity will come to you, and they're going to come to you. Why? Well, because you are the one who hears prayer. Iniquities overwhelm me. Only you can atone for rebellion. So there's another reason why David finds himself going to God, because he knows the weakness that he has as a human against sin, and he trusts that God can help him in that weakness, that he alone can atone for David's rebellion. How happy is the one you choose and bring near to live in your courts. We will be satisfied with the goodness of your house, the holiness of your temple. So within this first section, we see the great graciousness of God, the satisfaction that he brings. He hears prayer, he forgives sins, he gives happiness. How good God is to his people, the crown jewel of his creation, those who are made in his image. But God's goodness goes even beyond that, as we see here within this psalm. Yes, you answer us in righteousness with awe-inspiring works, God of our salvation and hope of all the ends of the earth and of the distant seas. Here is a representation of God's power, the fact that you establish the mountains by your power. You, God, are robed with strength. You silence the roar of the seas, the roar of their waves, and the tumult of the nations. Those who live far away are awed by your signs. You make east and west shout for joy. So here is the recognition of God's power and strength, not just over people and nations, but also over the creation itself. And you see this overlapping of these two ideas, creation and people. Like verse number 7 specifically, you silence the roar of the seas and the roar of the waves. We're thinking they're totally just about nature. But then he says at the end, and the tumult of the nations. So whether it be the raging of the actual creation itself of nature, or whether it be the raging of people in various ways, that takes me back to Psalm number 2. One of the grandest of all the Psalms here because of how much it is in reference to Jesus. But think about verse number 1 of Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers conspire together against Yahweh and his anointed one. Let's tear off their chains and throw the ropes off of us. Well, what do we see here in Psalm 65 and verse number 7? You silence not just the roars of the seas, you silence not just the roar of the waves, but you silence the tumult of the nations. Here is God's great power on display. But notice it's not just to bring under control things. People might say that makes God nothing more than a tyrant of some sort. He's just seeking to restrict everything. He's not actually helping. He's holding things back. But notice what we see in verse number 9. Notice what we see here. We see his provision, not just his strength in constraining that which needs to be constrained, but you visit the earth, and notice all these benefits that we have. A lot of orange here in verses 9 through 13, which are all blessings of God, ways in which we benefit from God's goodness. Notice you visit the earth and water it abundantly, enriching it greatly. God's stream is filled with water, for you prepare the earth in this way, providing people with grain. You soften it with showers and bless its growth, soaking its furrows and leveling its ridges. You crown the year with your goodness. Your carts overflow with plenty. The wilderness pastures overflow, and the hills are robed with joy. The pastures are clothed with flocks, and the valley is covered with grain. What a beautiful picture that's painted here of God's gracious provision for his creation, that the rain that it receives, it's from him. The growth that it experiences, it is from him. The flourishing that is seen in the creation, it as well is from him. And notice that these things, the wilderness, the hills, the pastures, the valleys, they are personified here in saying that they shout in triumph. Indeed, they sing. Does that not make you think? It does for me, at least. Makes you think of Psalm 19. Not exactly the same thing. In this text, it's talking about the cosmos, the heavens, the skies. The heavens declare the glory of God. Psalm 19, verse number 1, and the expanse proclaims the work of his hands. Day after day, they pour out speech. Night after night, they communicate knowledge. There's no speech. There are no words. Their voice is not heard. Their message has gone out to the whole earth, and their words to the ends of the world. So here, the sky and what we know as outer space, the heavens, declare God's glory. Well, here the creation itself, again, whether it's talking about the wilderness, the hills, the pastures, the valleys, they shout in triumph. Indeed, they sing, which takes us right back to the very beginning. Praise is rightfully yours, God, in Zion. Vows to you will be fulfilled. All humanity will come to you, will hear all of creation shouts in triumph. Triumph. Why? Well, they sing why? Because God, their good creator, provides for them wonderfully in every way that they need. What a good God to not only provide for the creation, for nature, but provides for us in so many ways. Again, going back to the hearing prayers, forgiving sin, giving happiness, just bringing general satisfaction to the lives of his creation. What a good, good God we serve. If you have any questions or comments about Psalm 65, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And I appreciate you taking some time reading along with me on this Wednesday. Looking forward to seeing everybody tonight for our Bible study at 7 o'clock. We'll continue in the auditorium in our study of Romans chapter 11. We'll be back at it again on Friday, reading together from Psalm 66, Praise for God's Mighty Acts. Psalm 66. Looking forward to reading that with you then. Take care and God bless.